send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more. Any day, any...
Dana White has just confirmed Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate. And honestly, this is the showdown we've all been waiting for. Let's be real. This isn't another one of Jake's carefully curated stunts where he fights someone retired, irrelevant, or just happy to cash a paycheck. This time, Jake is stepping into the ring with Andrew Tate, a fighter in his prime, who doesn't just throw punches but delivers hits that sting physically and existentially. The clash of egos, skill, and sheer audacity makes this more than a fight. It's a spectacle. This time, it's for real.
And you turned on Netflix that night. We were like, holy fuck, I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time.
And let's not forget, this fight has a purpose. Tate enters the ring fired up, ready to honor Mike Tyson's legacy while revealing Jake as more showman than fighter. His strength more hype than skill, perhaps even aided by questionable shortcuts. This showdown promises truth, redemption, and unfiltered intensity. Dana White didn't just confirm the fight. He revealed a shocking twist about Andrew Tate's deeply personal motivation, making this showdown more intense than ever. Tate isn't stepping into the ring for glory or cash, though $3 million doesn't hurt. This is about vengeance, pride, and restoring dignity to a sport Jake Paul has turned into his personal TikTok stage. After Jake's awkward bout with Mike Tyson, a fight dubbed a tragic comedy, Tate didn't hold back.
Don't worry about Conor McGregor you up. Don't worry about Floyd Mayweather you up. You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport.
He outright accused Paul of disrespecting not just Tyson but the sacred art of boxing itself. To Tate, this wasn't merely an underwhelming fight. It was an affront to every warrior who has ever bled, broken bones, or been knocked out cold in their relentless pursuit of greatness. And let's not sugarcoat it. Jake's fight with Tyson was more theater than sport. Tyson, nearing 60 and hobbling into the ring with a knee brace, still managed to give Jake a run for his money. But did Jake leave the ring humbled? Not at all. He strutted out like a champion, crowning himself boxing's greatest showman. The backlash was immediate and harsh. Critics called it a farce, fans tore him apart online, and even Tyson's loyal supporters felt their idol had been reduced to a pawn in Jake's endless clout chase. But now, Andrew Tate steps out of retirement, ready to do what Tyson couldn't, shut Jake Paul up for good.
You know, where his head's at in life in terms of what he wants to do.
Okay, but you didn't answer the question. Do you have any interest in it?
I don't know. I mean, Andrew has messaged me over the past few days, and
Tate's approach isn't subtle, because when has he ever been? He's made it crystal clear. Jake needs a reality check, and Tate's ready to deliver. Forget Instagram-worthy press conferences or fake smiles. Betting $3 million of his own money, this isn't a stunt. For Tate, it's a statement. A bold reminder that boxing belongs to real fighters, not wannabe influencers with inflated egos and questionable training. Tate backs his big talk with credentials. A four-time world champion, decades of relentless grit, and a highlight reel that speaks for itself. Boxing deserves authenticity, not empty showmanship. And then there's Jake. Oh, Jake. The talking, walking embodiment of a modern boxing era no one asked for. Fresh from his Tyson escapade, Paul did what he does best, shrugged off criticism and leaned into theatrics. To him, backlash is just jealousy, because clearly, anyone who doesn't bow to Jake Paul must be bitter about his success. He even mocked Tate, calling him a washed-up kickboxer, and couldn't resist jabbing at Carl Froch for good measure. That's Jake's playbook. Stir up controversy, hurl a few insults, and keep everyone watching as he laughs all the way to the bank. But here's the twist. This time Jake isn't just playing the villain. He's walking a razor-thin line between being a loudmouth thriving on controversy and a fighter desperate to prove he's more than just hype. A loss to Tate won't just dent his ego. It will shatter the empire he's built.
Quite a nice guy. I met Jake, and he's actually quite a nice guy. I wanted to jump back in there and teach him all a lesson. And there were some fights on the card, some big fights for me being organized in November.
And we all know Dana White isn't just a promoter. He's the chess master of combat sports. Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate. That's his latest checkmate. White had finally had enough of Jake's circus act. Years of influencer-driven boxing turning real fighters into memes. But instead of rolling his eyes like the rest of us, White saw the chaos and thought, let's steer this shipwreck. He stepped in, crafted a compelling narrative, and voila. Jake Paul is now facing Andrew Tate. A fighter with real credentials and enough disdain for Paul to power the entire Vegas Strip.
While you're next training, I know you're only 18 days away from a fight, but next time you're training and you want some sparring, fly to Romania and we'll spar and we'll film it and we'll decide if we want to release it or not afterwards. But I have no problem. We can have a sparring match anytime. That's easy,
let's
right?
do it. Let's do it, guys.
I'm down for that, but we can't. Yeah. But we can't release it for free. That's like, it's like giving the people what they want.
White didn't sugarcoat it either, calling the fight the ultimate blend of skill, spectacle, and storytelling, essentially saying, this will be brutal, but you'll love every second. And when Dana White talks like that, you know he's serious. This isn't just about throwing punches. It's about crafting a spectacle so massive that it will elevate combat sports beyond the influencer chaos Jake Paul has been stirring. White's influence is everywhere, whether it's brokering peace between the two camps, ensuring Jake's team didn't get any unfair advantages, or making sure the fight rules didn't turn into a TikTok challenge. Dana's involvement has transformed what could have been a cringe-worthy social media feud into the fight everyone's talking about. Dana White isn't just in it for honor and glory. He's a numbers guy. Take Jake Paul's fight against Tyron Woodley, for example. While it was a disaster for boxing purists, it pulled in 65 million viewers and $18 million in ticket sales.
I dislike Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him. I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living out of Jake Paul. I'm not some washed-up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him, and if he wants to fight, I'll fight him. However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well.
Andrew Tate has been especially vocal about Jake Paul's Tyson fight, calling it a cash grab and a stain on Tyson's legacy. Tyson, struggling in a knee brace just to get into the ring, was hardly the same fighter Jake strutted around claiming to have defeated. To Tate, that wasn't just disrespectful. It was an insult to boxing itself. Jake belongs in a circus, not in the same conversation as legends, Tate argues. But Tate isn't just running his mouth. He's a master of psychological warfare, systematically tearing into Jake's reputation. From calling him a fraud to mocking his theatrics, Tate's approach is calculated and relentless. His goal is clear. Strip Jake of his bravado until nothing remains but insecurity and regret. And Tate isn't all talk. He's promised a reality check, vowing to show Jake what it truly means to fight someone who sees boxing as a test of skill, heart, and grit. Not just a quick cash grab. Jake Paul is still doing his usual, mocking Tate, dragging Carl Froch back into the mix, and making sure he's the loudest person in the room. But this time, he knows the stakes. A loss wouldn't just damage his record. It would shatter the empire he's built on bravado, hype, and a carefully curated roster of hand-picked opponents. For Jake, this fight isn't just another payday. It's a gamble that could either cement his brand or destroy it in dramatic fashion. And so, we find ourselves here. Dana White pulling the strings, Andrew Tate delivering a masterclass in psychological warfare, and Jake Paul standing on the edge of a career-defining cliff. This isn't just a fight. It's a battle for the future of combat sports. Will it belong to fighters with real scars, or to influencers who control the show? When the bell rings, the gloves won't be the only things coming off.